Shabbat Shalom. Chag Sameach. So I want you to think back to the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim, of the Exodus as told in the Torah. What did the Israelites take with them out of Egypt? They took gold and silver that they had taken from the Egyptians. Ma'od, what else? They took Joseph's bones, what else? On their matzah, unleavened dough on their shoulders. What else did they take? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. We'll get there. And they took Na'arenu's Kenenu. They went out with their young and their old and their mixed multitude. They went out with flocks. What did we just read in the Shirah? What were they playing? They took maybe some kind of musical instruments, tambourines. On a psychological level, we might say that they took the scars of their experience with there, but I want to go back to what Alan said. We read this morning, V'chamushim alu b'nei Yisrael mi Mitzrayim. Chamushim means armed. They went out armed. They left with weapons. Now, a medieval Spanish rabbi, Rabbi the Baal HaTurim, suggests that the word chamushim is like the word chamesh, 5, meaning that they took with them 5 different kinds of weapons. They took the magain, the vina, the romea, chetzim, and makel yad, 2 different kinds of shields, lances, arrows, and spears. Alternatively, Ibn Ezra, also from medieval Spain, suggests that chamushim is connected to chamesh because they wore a sword that was opposite their 5th rib. Okay. I knew about the matzah, I knew about the gold, I knew about the tambourines, but they went up armed. Now this offers a very different image of the Israelites leaving Egypt. I essentially pictured them crawling out of Egypt. They were beaten and exhausted physically and emotionally. A despondent, insecure people dependent on God for their food and for their freedom. But that's not what this verse suggests, as Rabbeinu Bachya, another medieval Spanish rabbi, writes, Yatsu Yisrael mi Mitzrayim chalutzim ka'anshei tzava hayotzim lemilchama. The plain meaning of the words is that when the Israelites left Egypt, they were like the vanguard of an army preparing for battle. Now, Alan picturing the Israelites not sneaking out in the dead of night, but walking proud and tall, with weapons slung over their shoulders. They were saying, come hell or high water, we're not going back there, not going backwards. We will not tolerate subjugation. We can no longer live in those conditions under a despot, and we're ready to fight for our lives and for our freedom. The idea of the Israelites leaving Egypt armed, it does present certain logistical questions like, where do they even get these weapons? But it also raises theological questions. You see, for 40 days, the Israelites, they've been watching God just pummel the Egyptians. They've seen God bring frogs and lice and beasts and darkness. They've seen the ruler of Egypt beaten and defeated. Why do they need these weapons at all? Presumably, God is going to take care of the Egyptians just as God has done until this point. Surely the Israelites could have said to themselves, no worry, God has our back. The same Rabbeinu Bachya continues saying, Ratzon haTorah b'chach, shi'aseh adam b'derach hateva, kol ma shebiado la'asot, v'ashar yaniach bi'adei shamayim. When the Israelites left Egypt, they were like the vanguard of an army preparing for battle, because God wants us to do whatever is possible in a natural way. Anything beyond that, we can leave to heavenly forces. Solomon confirms this principle in the book of Proverbs when he says, "The horse is ready for the day of battle, but victory comes from the Lord." In other words, concludes Rabbeinu Bachia, people have to do their share to protect themselves before God will do God's share. This is why it was essential, he concludes, that the Israelites take weapons with them when they left Egypt. First, prepare the horse, and then God will help with victory. Our ancestors didn't sneak out of Egypt, nor were they wholly apprehensive, according to this interpretation. They were not helpless nor hopeless. They were resilient and resistant, strong in body and in spirit. And so too must we be in our own battles, our fight for justice, our fight for freedom, our fight for rights, our fight for equality, our fight for our democracy, and our fight for survival. It would be easy and understandable if in today's battles we said we're too depressed, we're too exhausted, but the issues are too great and we are not so weak. Besides, we might say to ourselves, it's always worked for us in the past, someone else will fight our fights, some other forces will take care of things. But from our Israelite ancestors and from our medieval rabbis, we learn we cannot rely on a miracle, nor are we to be passive recipients of divine intervention. Rather, we are to be active agents of our own salvation. As Heschel writes, prayer only begins where human power ends. In my Seder, probably like yours, we stand and we open the door for Elijah. We invite him in with song and with honor. But we don't expect his cup of wine to be filled magically. Instead, following a Hasidic custom, we have each participant in the Seder pour from their personal cups into Elijah's cup, symbolizing the need for each individual to awaken the divine forces of redemption by beginning with human efforts. Why must we open the door for the prophet Elijah, writes Rabbi Shlomo Riskin in his Haggadah? Because unless we open the door, Elijah will not come. Shabbat Shalom. Same to you. Turn in our Sidurim to page 155, and then after the Chatzi Kaddish, we'll turn ahead for the special Musaf for Shabbat of this festival on page 166b.